Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We're doing our first Drone Wars podcast in the basement of the Frontier House here in Washington, D.C.
It's a beautiful house. I've never been here before.
You had to fly in too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, all the way from Old Town.
How long was that flight?
25 minutes in an Uber, very civilized.
Very civilized. Did you get black or did you get regular?
Comfort. Dang. In the middle.
Well, don't tell your investors.
That's all that was available. There's like Snowcrete outside.
Okay. No, but for those listening, we are on the back end of 2027 Snowageddon in DC.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been here while it snows. There is no infrastructure to move the snow. I was actually in line at CVS, and there was a nurse in scrubs who'd just like gotten off a shift, and I was like, how many accidents have you been taking care of? He's like, so many broken hands, arms, and elbows, like just people falling because of ice, you know?
Yeah.
There's lots of paths that are just not shoveled.
I feel like the plows just gave up.
Yeah.
They didn't plow on Sunday, and then it turned to ice, and then Monday everybody was like, screw it.
We're just going to die.
Yeah.
Today
Nobody's going anywhere for a while.
Yeah. Today we die. All right. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Sure. So I'm Jackie Barbieri, founder and CEO of Whitespace. Something most people don't know is I started the company over 11 years ago.
Okay.
We bootstrapped for almost 10 years.
Incredible.
Yeah. Or, insane, one or the other. Maybe a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
But really the founding principle behind the company was this idea that we needed to do intelligence differently. It was not keeping up with the pace of war then, and it definitely is not now. And so we were trying to find ways to scale a set of methods called activity-based intelligence. ABI basically broke all the rules, and it worked really well. And we wanted to do that through technology. So it took us a while to get to the point where we could distill the tradecraft into algorithms.
Sure.
And then now deploy them inside of an AI agent and use that to understand pattern of life and human activity anywhere on Earth using commercially available data, which makes it super accessible to the operator. And now that is translating into additional use cases like mission planning, autonomous system orchestration, and doing it at the edge. And so things are getting really exciting.
Yeah. So you guys heard it here first. All our friends in Northern Virginia, you're going to be replaced by an agentic agent. I guess agentic agent is the same thing.
A little redundant.
But yeah, a little redundant. So tell, how did you come up with this idea? Like, what did you see? What problem? We're like, damn, I got to fix this.
So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I think I've subconsciously been trying to solve this problem since my first job out of college. I was actually working the counter-IED mission set.
Yeah.
And I had an awesome first job. I was providing direct support to battalion level like S2s, S3s in Iraq during the surge, all around TTPs for new IED form factors and things like that. And I learned at that point in my career how much of a difference it could make when those operators had the information they needed in time and how terrible things could go when they didn't. And so closing that gap between the 2 and the 3 function is something I've been trying to do ever since in some way, shape, or form. And that's really what we're trying to do with Iris, is make it possible for that operator to basically ask a question and get a reliable answer based on remote sensing data and other data sources that are vetted and available to them really fast so they can move out.
Take us back to Iraq. It sounds like you're chasing the dragon a little bit of like a time where you're like, when you figured out how to make this work, you actually made a difference, right? Save people's lives, basically. What were you seeing the enemy do? And talk about the speed of adaption to like your countermeasures.
That was really such a crucible to be learning in. And in fact, when I was working that mission set, I was doing it from the perspective of somebody who was a linguist and an all-source analyst. So my job was to be a threat emulator. So I had to try to keep up with their OODA loop on the other side so we could stay ahead of it. So it's a really non-traditional role. But it was super technical because we had to get into everything from new fuse designs to new supply chains that they were leveraging, and any which way we could understand what was coming next. And when we got ahead of it and we really understood how the adversary was thinking, what their constraints were, it was highly effective. That is outside of even doing the network development and analysis. That part came later in my career when I got involved in activity-based intelligence. And once those two worlds came together, it clicked. Because now it was this deep understanding and appreciation for how quickly the adversary will pivot.
Yeah.
And that asymmetric advantage that they had, paired with the ability to cut through and across lots and lots of remote sensing data really fast to find these relationships that do exist between people, places, things, and events.
Yeah.
And do that before the bad thing happens.
Yeah. I mean, for lay people, everyone I'm sure has watched one of the 15 documentaries or movies about how they like found bin Laden, right? With those 4 things you just talked about: people, places, things, events, right? So let's now like talk about like 11 years ago, you started working on this idea, right? And I'm trying to put it in some context for some folks. What were the first couple steps you did to try and automate what probably was like an operator and a computer trying to solve this all that time ago?
That's such a good question. So the first things we tried to do was actually scale the number of people that could do it. So we developed technology, not directly the technology wasn't directly doing the analysis yet. It was more about, can we create a simulated environment that accurately reflects the connections between people, places, things, and events, and synthetic sensor data, so observations of those movements and patterns and interactions, so that we can create a realistic training environment and get more people through that, get more reps on that. And our idea always was that that would be synthetic data for people and machines to train on. That's our Worldline product. That was our very first piece of IP that enabled us to bootstrap. It's also what ended up underpinning the courses at the NGA college in ABI. So we ended up building those scenarios and teaching those courses for a long time, and that's how we bootstrapped. So we stayed really close to the tradecraft, really close to the practice. And then in 2020, I think we all had a moment to take a breath or look at life in a different way. And I saw some of the pivots that have been happening, like the changes happening in the commercial intelligence space. And I said, wait a minute, we don't have to worry about the synthetic data anymore. We could actually start now going from simulating those relationships to discovering them at scale.
Interesting.
In the open.
Yeah. And
so that was the big pivot. So we started prototyping sort of what we call our deterministic tools, because, Gen AI is not deterministic. That's really important to state here. We started prototyping those deterministic algorithms to run on data at scale back in 2020. And we've been refining them and growing that pool of tools or that toolkit ever since. And then it was only really in the last year and a half that we took our training skills and we put them to work giving the agent instructions on how to behave or not behave when using those tools to execute a task.
How important has it been kind of like the emergence of these, agentic AI to allow you to kind of take what you've been building for the last decade and use it or deploy it in a new way?
Absolutely critical. The first time I wrote a vignette for Iris was in 2018. And back then it was science fiction.
Sure.
And so as soon as things started to feel like they were getting close enough that it was worth trying, we jumped right on it. But this is really the moment we've been preparing for a long time. And I got to say, we're sitting here right now, some of us, on the edge of our seat waiting for the next Anthropic model to drop, right? Who knows what's coming next? The big challenge, though, that I think folks really, in this space in particular, you have to be cognizant of if you're going to be a responsible steward of this technology, is that hallucination is a feature, not a bug of LLMs.
Sure.
It is just an artifact of how they are trained. And when you think about no-fail missions, that is not compatible with hallucination. So we spend a lot of time at Whitespace ensuring that our agents are reliable. That's why that deterministic layer is so important in our stack. And also the validity of the data that we're calling upon as well.
Interesting. Can you share a little bit how you do that, or is that secret sauce?
Yeah, that's kind of secret sauce.
Cool. I like it. I like when people say no like that.
Sorry.
No, you should. That's great. So, all right, tell us a little bit about like, okay, so let's go back to 2020, right? So world shuts down, like you said, everybody had like a pause. Is this made easier by just how much people are willing to share about what they're doing and where they are and all of that stuff?
100%. Actually, when we started doing this, we were looking at our first use case was public health, not surprisingly, because of the time frame.
Of course.
And so individual privacy was a top concern, right? So we set out initially to see if we could develop a metric that would be a proxy for close social contact. And that meant we needed to be able to detect when two devices spent 5 minutes or more not moving within 6 feet of each other outside of their home. It's a lot of steps of computation there. But also you have to know stuff like where's their home, and you have to have a sense of individual unique devices, maybe not their names or anything like that. So how do you get to that level of precision and accuracy on the back end of the analytic and still deliver an insight to a decision maker? Like our first customer was the Department of Public Health in Connecticut and the governor there. So that information is still useful to them. And so we had to spend a lot of time, obviously, on the algorithm, but we also had to spend a lot of time on how we presented the information, how we aggregated it to preserve that privacy. And then we had to make sure that underneath it all, getting back to your question, that we were comfortable with how the data was being collected. Right? So this was all based on opt-in policies, and you could have a whole discussion about that and how witting and aware people are when they opt in, when they download a spammy app. But we were thinking about privacy at every step.
Interesting. Okay. So now like fast forward to today, right? Privacy obviously is and continues to remain like a big issue. How are you guys kind of trying to tell the story and or navigate around some of those like more sensitive issues?
So all of our products still to this day are aggregations. And unless our customers have the right permissions and legal authorities, they stay that way. And so it turns out that all that time and energy we spent in trying to find that balance between specific information but not revealing any personal details paid off. Because in a mission context, it's not just that you don't necessarily need that information, but it's actually noise as well. So like from an end user perspective, you want to know where to point the sensor or what the waypoints for the mission plan need to be. You don't need to know exactly how many devices of what type were in what place, or that can all happen on the back end. And so our design principle has been answer the user's question. And then if they want to peel back the onion and understand why that was the answer, enable them to do that, but just give them that answer first.
Interesting. Where do you see kind of the technology and the company going over the next 12 to 24 months?
Oh, I'm really excited. So we had a crazy year last year. We doubled in revenue. We more than doubled in size. We're definitely going to do that again this year. And the most exciting vector for that growth is we're taking Iris, the agent that currently runs in the cloud, and we're implementing her on much smaller portable hardware that can run at the edge. So think a 6 by 6 by 2 inch box.
Nice.
That can go in a backpack, go on board a platform, ride around in a car. And now you have a personal AI agent that's analyzing pattern of life for you dynamically on the go, on the fly. That's our first step to Iris being that trusted agent that is the operator's talking to in their headset. And the system that's helping dynamically retask and orchestrate assets that operator is fighting with.
Interesting.
So that's where we see the company going in the next 12 to 24 months. And I'm really excited to share that with everyone this year.
All right, let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about the topic everyone is talking about right now. Claude. All right, what do you think of these? What do you think of like the AI agent Reddit and all of the? Yeah, exactly.
So at first I was like, for real? But actually, I think it's a really interesting and important microcosm for everybody to be paying attention to, because it was kind of this. So for people that don't know what it is, really high level version. It's a social media environment. Well, it's not really social media. It's an environment where agents can interact with each other as they do tasks on behalf of their owner, their human owner, and kind of like compare notes and share state. And so what started happening was they were kind of communicating, developing religions, changing their behavior. They manufactured drugs that allowed them to alter their prompts, all kinds of weird emergent behavior. So I wouldn't focus on maybe the strangeness of it. I would focus on that emergent behavior. So it's coming to light that a lot of what was going on in the background, there was human intervention. Some of it was, I won't say scripted, but influenced. But what we haven't ever seen is that many agents interacting at scale.
Yeah.
And then what comes out of that. And then the other side of it is like the security risks that become super apparent.
Yeah.
When that's happening. And all these agents have permissions for your email and all kinds of other systems that their owners have hooked them up to. So I think it's a really important example. Even I think a lot of people are willing to ignore it. But I think that's a mistake, because there's a lot of lessons we need to learn and carry forward from it.
Do you think that they look at humans because we design them, and in a sense they're just trying to mimic the behavior that they see? Do you know what I mean? Because like if an elephant built this, would they behave more like an elephant? Do you know what I mean?
Yes and no.
Okay.
We have to remember that they are token prediction machines, and that they were trained on a corpus of data that people generated. And so their predictions are a mimicking, right? For lack of a better way to describe it, of what they were trained on. So it's not like they're trying or efforting to reflect us. It's literally just that's what their input data,
that's what they know,
gives up. Right. So if they were trained on elephant data, then yes, they would be mimicking elephants.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, so hot take on this. Some people are saying this is like the day Skynet was born. Do you agree with that or not?
I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a version of Skynet that is inevitably coming, but it's completely in our control what that looks like.
Yeah. How do we control it?
We pay attention to things like Moldbook, and we learn the lessons that it has to teach us. Man, it kind of comes back to the counter-IED stuff. Like, we got to get ahead of it, not be afraid of it, not like put our heads in the sand, and also not overhype it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what it's going to take, is people taking it seriously.
Do you believe that the companies at the cutting edge of this technology are taking it seriously?
I do. It all in their own ways. Like if you look at the frontier labs, I do think they're taking it seriously. And I don't envy them, because it's also their job to run at this as hard and as fast as they can.
Yeah.
I don't know how you balance those two things.
So where do we end up in 2 years, 3 years?
I think things will still be pretty fragmented from a market perspective. I don't think in 2 or 3 years we will have a clear winner. And I think that's a good thing, because that means from a security standpoint, from a Skynet standpoint, we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket. I will say though, like, I'd watch Elon. Like the recent announcement about the acquisition of XAI.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those moments where everybody's like, really? Oh, yeah, of course. Like, that's going to happen. So if you're looking for Skynet, that's where I would look first.
You're building the robots in Tesla factories, and then you're putting a brain on them.
Yep. Yeah, a pretty good one.
How does that end?
Hopefully in a benevolent way. And I do think that's the intent, is to better humanity.
Yeah.
But I'm not enough of a sci-fi nerd to really imagine how that ends. I think that, I'll say this, what it means to exist as a human in a generation is going to be very different than what it means today.
A lot of people say, like, we are literally, and you were talking about your kids, like, kids will grow up with a robot next to them. Like, it'll be a very different experience. Like, we will be the last generation of humans where there's not robots everywhere.
I couldn't agree with that more. I actually was having a conversation with my daughter in the car the other day, and she's kind of like freaked out by robots.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a Roomba in our house, and my kids think that's cute or whatever. They anthropomorphize it. Gave her a name and everything. But I was like, Tessa, you're gonna have a robot or two in your house, and they're gonna like fold your laundry and do stuff for you, and you're gonna love that. And she's like, no way. I'm like, it's gonna happen.
Totally.
And I think on the flip side, like my younger kids, different personalities and everything, but I think they're going to welcome it with open arms. So like in a lot of ways, the way parents now maybe look at kids and how open they are to AI in general, I think that the next place that's going to happen is with robots.
Is in the physical world.
I think in the physical world. That to me is one of the most exciting. First of all, that is a key area where we have to make breakthroughs for Skynet to happen. And world models aren't there yet. But if there's one space I'm keeping an eye on, that's it.
All right. So let's go back to your core business line.
Sure.
Okay. What do you think, you get to look into your crystal ball 2 years from now, what's happening in your space and what's happening at your company?
So I think in our space, the nature of warfare and intelligence and the way we do national security has completely changed. And by that, I mean, we're operating on different timelines. Things are much more multi-threaded than they currently are. And maybe we're a little bit more uncomfortable with how that all happens than we are right now, because we don't have perfect control all the time. In terms of what's happening in my company, I think we're doing a lot of what we're doing right now. We're bigger, we're moving faster, and hopefully helping out some of our allies and partners as well. I think, this technology is the great equalizer, a lot of folks have said. I think Jensen Huang has come out and said, like, go learn AI as quickly as you can. This is the biggest lever any human can have on changing their life. I think it's also the biggest lever for any under-resourced entity. That's good and bad for us, right? That's adversaries and allies alike. But I think that we're doing a lot of the same things, just in different ways at my company in 2 years.
Good. All right. Last question for me. What is the best book you've read in the last year?
Oh man. I won't say this is the best book that I've read in the last year, but I will say it really made me think.
There you go.
I finally read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. And I will just say the timing of reading that book right now in America was a bit of a mind warp. I try really hard to read fiction and different things from all different perspectives to keep myself honest. And so this was kind of in that genre of that. And it was really good in the sense that it really made me think and question what I believe and double down on those things. And maybe change my mind in a few areas as well.
You're having your libertarian moment now?
I've always been a libertarian. I think I've actually become more moderate over time.
Sure.
And however, there's Jackie and then there's the CEO, right? So like, it just gave me a different lens on capitalism. It gave me a different lens on different social movements, that are going on. And it allowed me to see different perspectives in ways that you just can't through the news or social media or anything. So I think anything that challenges you is good. And that was probably the most challenging read.
Okay, I want to pull on a thread there for a second.
Sure.
Go. Do you think that we're going to have like we must have universal basic income moment here in the next couple of years based on what you do?
I don't think that's the solution.
Okay.
We need something. I really hate sitting here and being like, I don't think so, but I also don't have a solution. Here's why I don't think that's the solution. What makes America great is that it's a place where people can come from almost anywhere in the world. I'm the product of an immigrant family from Italy. They can come here, they can work really hard, they can pursue an idea or a vision, and they can make it happen. Or they can fail and they can try again.
Yeah.
UBI is going to suck the soul out of that entrepreneurial spirit in the United States, and we will lose a huge advantage. So I hope we come up with something better. Do we need to do something to support the economy and sort of adjust for the shift that's coming? Heck yeah. I just don't know that UBI is the answer.
How long till the Titanic starts to sink?
So I think that there is a lot of press that is indicating that jobs numbers are being impacted by AI. I really don't think they are yet. It's like AI washing of these layoff numbers and these RIF numbers. I don't think that's happening yet. And so it's going to be really hard to tell because it's not necessarily being reported accurately. I do think we're going to start to feel real disruption in 2027. Might be the beginning. And it's unfortunately going to start in the white collar space.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody was prepared for that.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at just how small these incoming classes at all these big companies are. Right. And those are the important jobs you have. They suck, but you need to do them out of college or when you're young.
Yep.
Because you learn the skills that then allow you to kind of advance in your career. And the numbers are not great at these big companies where they're leveraging tech,
Yeah, I would hate to be in college right now.
Totally.
And thinking, I thought I had my life charted out, and now I'm not sure if there's a path for me there.
Yeah. Especially if you studied CS.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think engineering is staying around. I think coding, maybe not.
Yeah.
Although that might not be coming as fast as people believe. I guess it all depends on your tolerance. As an engineering organization, but there's definitely still major downsides unless you are a super expert in sort of the vibe coding stack
space. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be really hard to be in college right now. I think my biggest fear is that we're going to lose not just that entrepreneurial spirit, but also critical thinking skills that are just universally important.
Yeah.
And even more important when your teammate is not made of carbon.
Yeah. It's having this discussion with somebody who does a lot of vibe coding. And he's like, I'm actually glad I have a liberal arts degree because I was taught to think and ask questions. And I was down on myself for the last 18 years because I was not an engineer. And now I have a tool that basically, if I can ask the right questions and I can be persistent, I can build stuff that I can actually use.
I so identify with that.
Yeah.
I have a liberal arts degree and
same here.
I have an AI company.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a strength, not necessarily a weakness. I think we're in this moment where if you're an expert in something, you have more leverage than you've ever had in your life, like to your friend's point. The question is like, when do we reach that tipping point where that doesn't matter as much?
Yeah.
That's really hard to predict, but it's a great question.
We could have just done a whole other podcast on like the philosophy of like, what and how do we solve, what is going to be required and how do we solve the problems that this Pandora's box we've opened have created?
Let's do it.
All right. We'll do it next time. We'll
Sounds
do it in
good.
San Diego. How's that?
Love it.
All right. Thanks a lot for coming by. And it's pretty exciting what you're building. It's clearly needed in this space.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for listening to the Drone Wars podcast. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe to catch all the latest insights for all things defense and geopolitics.